How's it going, guys? Bring your platoon here, and welcome back for another two great games in World of Tanks Console Edition. Today I will be grinding? Sure, why not? I will be grinding the CS-59, the Tier 9 Polish medium tank. I would not recommend going up this line. That's all I'm going to say, and that's a lie. Why wouldn't I recommend going up this line? Because the gun you get is kind of poopy, and the tier 10 doesn't get much better. The only thing this thing has that, or this thing doesn't have that the tier 10 does, is the fast travel mode, which makes your horsepower increase twofold practically, and I think your speed goes up to 70 kilometers an hour instead of the standard 55, and your reverse speed instead of 15 goes to 20 when you're in the fast travel mode. Oh, I guess your horsepower doesn't increase twofold. It goes from 740, which is 40 more horsepower than the tier 9, to 1150. But yeah, you get a lot more power to weight, or horsepower per ton, and you go fast, but at the cost of your camouflage, of which you have a lot of. So it shouldn't be too bad, but you just gotta be careful with it, I guess. So, let's get into the negatives, or just the overall basics of the tank. Armor, number one. You have none of it. You can side scrape with your spaced armor on the side of... Yeah, on the side of... on both sides of your tank. But if they shoot where there's no spaced armor, then it's going to go right through every single time. Do not try and side scrape with this thing unless you're in a very dire situation and you think your opponent is stupid. But even then, your turret is kind of like exposed, so they could just shoot that, because the only thing you get in the front, even angled, in your turret is, let's just point the turret towards yourself there, 100 up to 135, maybe 140 millimeters of protection in the turret, and then angled perfectly, the front upper plate is 100 and... Ooh, that is not good. Highest point, 192 millimeters of protection. Your lower plate is, of course, another weak spot, 140 millimeters of protection. Yeah, not looking good. What do you get for gun depression? 9 degrees, which, speaking of, the tier 10 loses a degree of gun depression, so keep that in mind. You get a classic 105mm gun. On the top gun, you get 252 average pen for your AP rounds, dealing, of course, 390 damage per shot. When you switch to APCR, you gain the fast velocity, and you get a little bit more pen at 293 millimeters of pen. So, yeah, that's cool that a tier 9 medium tank has lower than 300 millimeters of pen. Awesome for its premium round. Cool beans. Then there's the high explosive shell, which I won't talk about because it's high explosive and you don't use it very often. Does whatever, I'll just bring it up because I talked about the other two. 510 damage per shot. Your penetration values is 53 millimeters. Moving on. Top speed for the tier 9 is 50 kilometers an hour. Again, this thing doesn't have any gimmicks like the tier 10 has travel mode. Reverse speed is 18 kilometers an hour. It certainly doesn't fucking feel like it. You have an aim time of 2.5 on this tank. It's ass. I would recommend either switching out your gun rammer for gun lane drive and putting on as well vertical stabilizer, because yeah, you're gonna be aiming a long time at targets if they're far away or just in general, because this thing does not have good dispersion values. Speaking of dispersion at 100 meters, 0.38, terrible, absolutely terrible. So you can absolutely buff up the accuracy to ridiculous levels, like I keep mentioning in other videos, with skills as well as some equipment. But camouflage is your best friend in this tank because it has a lot of it for a medium tank. It's not nearly as good as a light tank, but it's pretty much a light tank that loses camo on the move. Speaking of, doesn't have the speed. I mentioned the top speed was 50 kilometers an hour. 700 horsepower is not going to carry you quickly anywhere. Wait, Not going to carry you far anywhere fast. It feels very sluggish. It drives like a light tank. You'll never reach 50 kilometers an hour on flat ground. It feels like. I'm sure you will, but it's just slow. I don't know if this gameplay has the top package for the engine, but yeah, that's my feelings on that. View range is 390 for a tier 9. That's not terrible. What else? I don't know. I think I pretty much covered everything. So overall decisions on this tank: don't grind up this line. It's not worth it. So really, it's more or less about the line than it is the tank. But yeah, I don't know what this Lorraine is doing. Oh, I ammo racked him. Fucking go me. And he didn't fix it? Oh, he's a genius. I don't know what happens here. Don't know how that shot misses, but sure. Oh, because I shot in front of him with APCR, because I'm bad. But yeah, he tries to like bully me, and then the ELC bounces a shell off me. And even if he penned me another 2 times, there's a good chance that he would have low rolled at least one of those times, and I would have survived regardless. But yeah, my friend the T10 takes him out, and we win a game, and I get a shit ton of experience for the tank to grind up in because I have a ×3 multiplier on. Modifier? Yeah, modifier, multiplier, whatever. So that's cool. That helped me a little bit. And now we go on to the next game, which is arguably better, even though I get less base damage. But we'll see. We'll see. I try to like this tank. I really do. I was thinking the other day, it's like, why am I even grinding this line? The tier 10 is kind of meh at the best of times. But I just think I watch quickie baby videos, so maybe I shouldn't take his word for it. But he was getting into positions very early on in the match, and that was letting him get some free shots or stay hidden while he's getting free damage. And I don't know. I feel like being quick is more fun, despite you get a little loss in concealment when you use the fast travel mode, and you can catch a lot of people out in the open that way and get quick damage early on, and I don't know. Just seems fun, I guess, despite how my tone sounds. But it just sucks. Like, this game is weird. Or, I guess every game with a platoon of light tanks is weird. Because they're fucking moronic. They charge your spawn, and then they try and circle your tanks one at a time as a light tank platoon. Like, go them. And it doesn't work here, but I do get shit on because my shot should have went where I wanted it to, but RNG was like, hey, go fuck yourself. Like, look at this shot. How did that end up tracking the guy? Like, sure, I'll take it. That probably shouldn't have went in, but it did. So I guess I really can't complain about RNG too much. Put another free shot into him there. And this one should have went in, but it went over his roof, so fuck me, I guess. And then he gets stuck on a building, and I go to put a shot into him, and then there already is like, hey, remember me? So yeah, I'm down half my HP already in, like, not even 2 minutes into the game. Awesome. But, it's fine. I lose detection pretty fucking quick because, again, concealment is pretty great. I think my concealment on this thing is 270. It's really up to you whether or not if you want to use the advanced concealment in one of the equipment slots or just buff up that aim time for your gun, because using DPM increasing things on this tank, honestly, to me, is not worth it, because one, your DPM kind of sucks anyway. It says it's almost 2800, but I do not believe that for a second. And I think that having good aim time on a medium is kind of paramount to doing well as good DPM. But since your DPM kind of sucks anyway, you're better off just bettering that aim time, because 2.5 at tier 9 with a top package gun is ass. Especially when you're right in front of people and you hit their upper plate pointing down at you, and you just end up tracking them because that's how bad your aim bloom is. When you fire, or not when you fire, but when you're trying to aim in on somebody. So, yeah. Super cool. Although, I guess one good thing about this tank, I was just watching the gameplay, and if you reverse side scrape out... Could you reverse side scrape? Not really. They could still hit your tank in the unspaced armor parts, and then your gun depression goes to 4 degrees. So, yeah, really not worth that fucking chance. Although you could bait shots. You could bait shots, and then when they bounce off of you, if they bounce off of you, I guess it's not worth the risk. I don't really have any issues with this tank losing crew members, but honestly, it's just a handicap in playing it, so that's just a blessing. And I just take it upon myself to go spot for my team. I'm like, whatever. I've got great concealment. They still can't see me from where they are. And then there's a medium tank camping behind this house. I'm going to take a hit. Yeah, oh well. He needs to hit me at least 3 more times to kill me. So, not too worried about that. I'm not going to drown myself. But I am playing very defensively here because I don't want to lose more HP than I already have. And my team is going to obliterate this Tiger 1 for being an absolute idiot, along with the Kampfpanzer 50T, if that's what it is, even. Yep, cool beans. And I pen his turret with standard rounds because he was looking at my team, and that was just enough to let me hit the turret's weak spot, kind of. But, yeah. Tier 8 tanks, hard to pen with standard rounds. On a Tier 9 tank, it's fine. That's actually not too bad. But if I loaded premium rounds, I probably still would have struggled to pen him in the turret straight on. Really, that was the only chance I had, as if he was looking at somebody else. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that armor model on that thing. Maybe I'm just talking out my ass or guessing. But as you can see, in a few moments, I'm sniping at people from behind these trees, and they can't do a damn thing about it. Even when I'm outside of any actual, like, foliage, they still can't spot me when I shoot them. Which is great. But yep, free bum shots on everybody still camping in their spawn, which is pretty hilarious. But, you know, it happens every game, so I guess I'm not surprised. Why am I not surprised? Because I do it too. Especially in very non-durable tanks like this one. But, yeah, not too enthused with the lines so far. Maybe the tier 10 will be more fun than I imagine. But yeah, like a 6 or 7 out of 10. Maybe a 6.5. Not great. Not terrible. But could use a lot of love. Especially with the fucking aim time. So that's an 8,200 damage combined game. Thank you for watching. And I'll catch you next time.